Athletes who submerge themselves in near-freezing water for 10 minutes after training have been shown to recover up to 20% faster than those who do not. 20%. That is not a marginal gain. That is the difference between competing again in 48 hours or sitting on the bench for 4 days. In the next 10 minutes, you are going to discover exactly what cold therapy does to your body at the cellular level, why elite athletes have sworn by it for decades, and what the latest research actually says about whether it lives up to the hype. Because here is the part that will surprise you, some of the most popular uses of cold therapy may actually be working against your goals. Stay with us, because the science here is genuinely fascinating. Cold therapy, also known as cryotherapy, has been used in one form or another for thousands of years. Ancient Egyptians applied cold compresses to injuries as far back as 3500 BC. Hippocrates himself documented the use of cold water and snow to reduce swelling and manage pain. Throughout history, healers across cultures from ancient Rome to traditional Japanese medicine recognized that cold had a powerful effect on the human body. But it was not until the 20th century that scientists began seriously studying why. The modern era of cold water immersion research began in earnest in the 1970s and 1980s, largely driven by sports medicine. Researchers wanted to understand what happened physiologically when athletes plunged into cold water after intense exercise. What they found laid the groundwork for everything we know today. The body, it turns out, responds to cold in a remarkably complex and coordinated way. It is not simply about numbing pain. It is about triggering a cascade of biological responses that affect inflammation, circulation, muscle repair, and even mental health. So what actually happens when you step into an ice bath? Within seconds, your body initiates vasoconstriction. Blood vessels near the skin and in the muscles narrow dramatically. This reduces blood flow to the extremities and forces blood towards your core organs. Your heart rate drops. Your lymphatic system kicks into higher gear to flush metabolic waste from muscle tissue. And critically, the inflammatory response that follows intense exercise is significantly blunted. Inflammation is the body's natural repair mechanism, but excessive inflammation is what causes the deep soreness, stiffness, and reduced range of motion that athletes call delayed onset muscle soreness, or DOMS. A landmark study published in the Journal of Physiology found that cold water immersion at temperatures between 10 and 15 degrees Celsius for 10 to 15 minutes significantly reduced markers of muscle damage in the bloodstream compared to passive rest. Creatine kinase, a key marker of muscle breakdown, was measurably lower in athletes who used ice baths. That is concrete, measurable biological evidence that cold therapy is doing something real. But here's what nobody talks about. That same anti-inflammatory effect that reduces soreness may actually slow down muscle growth. In 2015, a study published in the Journal of Physiology by researchers including Dr. Jonathan Roberts found that athletes who used cold water immersion regularly after resistance training showed significantly less muscle mass gain and strength development over 12 weeks compared to those who simply rested or performed active recovery. The reason comes down to satellite cells, which are the specialized stem cells responsible for rebuilding and growing muscle fibers after stress. Cold therapy suppresses the signaling pathways these cells need to activate. So if your primary goal is building strength and muscle size, frequent ice baths after weight training may be counterproductive. This distinction is critical. Cold therapy is not one size fits all. Its effects depend entirely on what you are trying to achieve. For endurance athletes, the calculus is completely different. A 2012 meta-analysis reviewing 17 studies found that cold water immersion was consistently effective at reducing fatigue and improving subsequent performance in endurance sports like cycling, running, and swimming. When an athlete needs to compete again within 24 to 48 hours, suppressing inflammation and accelerating perceived recovery becomes more valuable than optimizing long-term muscle adaptation. This is why cold therapy is a staple in professional sports environments, particularly in sports with compressed competition schedules. Beyond athletics, cold therapy has gained enormous attention for mental health and metabolic benefits. And this is where the research becomes particularly compelling. Cold exposure triggers a significant release of norepinephrine, a neurotransmitter and hormone that plays a central role in mood regulation, focus, and energy. A study from the Thrombosis Research Institute found that regular cold showers increased norepinephrine levels by up to 300%. 300%. That is a neurochemical shift comparable to certain pharmaceutical interventions, achieved through temperature alone. Dr. Andrew Huberman of Stanford University, whose neuroscience research has brought cold therapy into mainstream public awareness, has described cold exposure as one of the most reliable and potent tools available for elevating mood and improving mental resilience. His work highlights that the discomfort of cold exposure, specifically the act of choosing to remain calm in a stressful stimulus, trains the prefrontal cortex to override the instinctive panic response. Over time, this builds what researchers call stress inoculation, a measurable improvement in your ability to manage psychological stress in other areas of life. There is also growing evidence around metabolic effects. Cold exposure activates brown adipose tissue, commonly called brown fat, which is a specialized type of fat that generates heat by burning calories. Unlike white fat, which stores energy, brown fat is metabolically active. A study published in the New England Journal of Medicine confirmed that cold exposure reliably activates brown adipose tissue in adult humans, a finding that had been controversial for years because scientists once believed adults had negligible amounts of it. Regular cold exposure may increase the volume and activity of brown fat over time, potentially contributing to improved insulin sensitivity and metabolic rate. Now let us talk about safety, because this conversation would be incomplete without it. Cold water immersion below 10 degrees Celsius carries real physiological risks. Cold shock response, which is the involuntary gasping and hyperventilation that occurs upon sudden immersion, can cause drowning in open water. Prolonged exposure can lead to hypothermia. Individuals with cardiovascular conditions, Raynaud's disease, or cold urticaria face elevated risks. The evidence suggests that the sweet spot for therapeutic cold immersion is between 10 and 15 degrees Celsius for 10 to 20 minutes. Going colder does not appear to produce proportionally better outcomes and significantly increases risk. Whole-body cryotherapy chambers, which expose the body to extremely cold air at -100 to -140 degrees Celsius for 2 to 4 minutes, have become popular in high-end wellness facilities. But the evidence base for cryotherapy chambers is actually weaker than for cold water immersion. A 2017 Cochrane review, which is considered the gold standard for systematic research reviews, concluded there was insufficient high-quality evidence to recommend whole-body cryotherapy over traditional cold water immersion for recovery. Water conducts cold far more efficiently than air, meaning a 13-degree ice bath delivers more thermal stress than a -120-degree air chamber over the same duration. Practical protocols matter enormously. Research consistently shows that timing affects outcomes. Cold exposure immediately after resistance training appears to be where the inhibition of muscle growth is most pronounced. Waiting at least 6 hours after a strength session, or using cold therapy on non-training days, may allow athletes to preserve the recovery and mental health benefits while minimizing interference with muscle adaptation. For general wellness purposes, a daily cold shower of 2 to 5 minutes, ending sessions cold, has shown measurable benefits in mood, alertness, and immune function in multiple clinical trials. The immune response findings deserve attention. A now famous Dutch study published in PLOS ONE tracked participants who began cold showers for 30 to 90 days. Those who took cold showers called in sick to work 29% less frequently than the control group. The proposed mechanism involves the activation of the sympathetic nervous system, which appears to modulate immune cell activity. While the research is early and mechanisms are still being studied, the signal is consistent enough to take seriously. What the science ultimately tells us is that cold therapy is a genuinely powerful physiological tool. It reduces acute inflammation, accelerates recovery in specific athletic contexts, elevates norepinephrine for mood and focus, activates brown fat for metabolic benefits, and appears to support immune function. Before you go, if you learned something valuable today, hit that like button right now. Subscribe to HealthCore Daily for a brand new video every single day. We will see you in the next one.